स्वादयन्निह सर्वेषाम् त्रय्यन्तार्थम् सुदुर्ग्रहम् स्तोत्रयामास योगीन्द्रः तम् वन्दे यामुनाह्वयम्। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। नमो नमो यामुनाय यामुनाय नमो नमः। यत्पदाम्भोरुहध्यान विध्वस्ताशेषकल्मषः वस्तुतामुपयातोऽहम् यामुनेयम् नमामि तम्। स्वधर्मज्ञानवैराग्य साध्यभक्त्येकगोचरः नारायणः परम् ब्रह्म गीताशास्त्रे समीरितः। श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्ताम् सदा हृदि।
I think I told you yesterday about what we call the wonders that is Bhagavan. I think the first one I mentioned was Ahalya Moksha, the emancipation given to Ahalya from the curse of her own husband Gautama over her fall. Willfully done, wantonly done. And then later on, we saw that Parikshit Maharaja came to life again by the powers of Lord Krishna. And again, all those who are dying at the hands of the Lord are granted the salvation, moksha. And today the wonder was from the Ramayana, from Srimad Ramayana. Why we say Srimad Ramayana? There was normally we say Ramayana or Sri Ramayana or Srimad Ramayana. There is a difference between these three words. Srimad Ramayana will be the right explanation given by a Vaishnava or rather Vishishtaadvaitic interpretation of Ramayana will be called Srimad Ramayana. And so here Paduka, the sandals, the divine sandals of Sri Rama, were the rulers of Kausala Rajya for 14 years. And it was, we consider what we call the wooden sandal. In those days, wooden sandals were used. So the wooden sandals are, can be called Achetana, the insentient being. But the question is, how can Achetana rule the kingdom? An insentient being can rule the kingdom. So that is a wonder. And what is the wonder is, out of the 14 years, there is no untoward happen. Any untoward incident happened. Whereas in Ramarajya, when he ruled for 11,000 years, at the end of his rule, there was a reference. But let us not go deep into the controversy. Penance should be performed only by certain varnas, certain castes, certain divisions of humanity. I think a Shudra started performing penance, and therefore a sage's young child passed away. So that was again he reported, the father of this child reported this to Rama, because in your kingdom somebody has committed some mistake, and therefore I have to suffer. Then immediately Rama brought back the child to life. That's what I heard today. But I know that incident. But Rama brought back the child to life that I was not aware of. Therefore, so this is wonder. So surprising are the ways of the God, and we cannot assess the nature of the wonder also. And here, that is why yoga sadhanam, he will be instrumental. Yoga sadhanam in the 10th verse, yoga sadhanam. So yogi and so on. So you have got lot of repetition of the word yoga. So we go to the commentary. Is it 53? 53. Okay. Nanu atra, I have got a small, little sore throat. And you have to excuse me for that. Nanu atra pancharthaha sangrihitaha. Bhashyetu katham ekaha ittham sparshan kritva bahirbhakyam. Here we have to, so I give a warning that we have to be careful about the number of the verse. It is also not a botheration when we read another verse from Bhagavad Gita, but this is 27 from 5, 27th sloka from the 5th chapter. So we have to verify whether it is same. And no problem, even other verses can give a support to this idea. So ityadina panchame prastutaha. Oh, yoga bhasa. It is not yo abhasa. Yoga bhasa. In English, only G is missing. We were talking about the semblance yesterday. Yoga bhasa videereva atra prapanchate iti. Right. Right. Okay. Thank you. So prastuto yoga bhasa videereva atra prapanchate iti tat pradhanaha ayam adhyayah tatu anubandhaha prasangat अन्ये प्रतिपाद्यन्ते इति एतेन अध्यायांतरेषु अपि अनेक अनुबन्धाः एकैकार्थः प्रधानतमः इति सूचितम्. After we go through these paragraphs, let us see the full verse of 27 of the 5th chapter. Then only the meaning will be complete in this paragraph. Now looking at the 10th verse again, we were talking about the yogi practicing yogi. I don't know how to translate perfectly the word yogi to English. You can say meditator or one who practices the discipline of all the three, karma, bhakti, jnana and bhakti. He follows the discipline of action, wisdom and devotion. Of course, finally he surrenders to the Lord. So Prapati Yoga is also the practice of yogi. Again, because we understand that we don't do any action, so yogi also refers to the Lord. So we are talking about this yogi in this here in the commentary. So this particular chapter, coupled with the 6th chapter. Now we are talking about the 6th chapter in the 10th verse, but we have a link with the previous chapter, namely 5th chapter. The 5th chapter has been quoted here, and there are 5 meanings given. Pancha arthaha, that is the first sentence. Iti pancha arthaha. So it is atra here. Nanu means nevertheless. Nanu can mean indeed. Nanu means it's a stress on the sentence idea, the idea of the sentence. Nanu means perhaps. Nanu means surely. So atra here, pancharthaha sangrihitaha. 5 meanings have been abridged. Pancharthaha. You can also say pancharthaha is 5 purposes, 5 imports or abridged or made brief. Then Bhashyetu, Bhashye, please remember that we always saw that Bhashye means Sri Bhashye. Because it is Vedanta Deshika's commentary, there is no other meaning of the word Bhashye. It doesn't refer to any other commentary like Shankara, Madhva and so on. So Bhashye, Sri Bhashyetu, Katham Ekaha. How will be the number 1? So what is the, out of the 5 meanings, what will be the number 1? So Itham, thus, now we, after some time we will see the 20th verse. So Ityadina, by such ideas, Panchame Prastutaha, what was introduced in the 5th chapter, Panchame, in the 5th chapter, Prastutaha, a hypothesis has been given, an introduction has been given. Then Yoga Bhasa Videereva Atra Prapanchate iti. Now in the 6th chapter, Atra meaning in the 6th chapter, again Atra is 2 times, first sentence also contains Atra, again it again contains Atra. So it refers to the 6th chapter. So Yoga Bhasa Videhe. Vidhi means the rule, process, method, strategy. So yoga abhasa, again the semblance of yoga. So I told you that we are not perfect at all. So it is only yoga abhasa. And also you can say yoga is shiny. Yoga is given prominence. So again all the 4 yogas combined together. So yoga abhasa videhe. So we say in general, it is enough that we show our devotion, rather put up a show of our devotion, or for some reason or other, we involve ourselves in the spiritual thought. We say in Sanskrit, yena kenapi prakarena. Even I think we had a reference. I think, yeah, you showed me one Helanam by mockery, Parihasyam, so by making fun of. So in some context or other, when we happen to think of the Lord, that itself is enough for making him happy. It pleases him. Oh, in some method, in some way, he is remembering me. And again, he is grateful to our remembrance, and therefore he wants to pay his gratitude to us for remembering him in some way or other. Negatively, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Kumbhakarna, Shishupala, Dantavakra, so many other demons, Kamsa, all of them opposed tooth and nail Lord Krishna or Lord Sriman Narayana. And this is another way of worship also. That is also one of the ways. We can become enemies to the Lord. We can scold him. We can admonish him. And again, that shows our attachment to the Lord. So here, so Ityadina Panchame Prastutaha Yoga Abhasa Videhe. That's why I said semblance of the yoga. It is similar to yoga, almost like yoga. Then the rule, so Videhe Prapanchate. Prapanchate meaning explained. Vyakhyanam kriyate. So Prapanchate Generally, you know the word prapanchaha. Prapanchaha is the universe. All the creations are called prapanchaha. Prapanchate iti. Now there is a pun on the word pancharthaha and prapanchate. 5 meanings are explained. 5 meanings are explained beautifully, more beautifully. So it is only yoga bhasa vidhi prapanchate. You know what the process of the semblance of the yoga is being explained in this 6th chapter. Then, so what happens is, after reading the 5th chapter, the 6th chapter becomes more important. So, Tatu Pradhanaha Ayam Adhyayaha. Though the 5th chapter gave rise to 6th chapter, though the ideas in the 5th chapter supported the 6th chapter, the 6th chapter becomes very important. Tatu Pradhanaha. Pradhanaha is the importance is given to Ayam Adhyayaha, this chapter. Then, sir, how is it important? So, Tadanu Bandhaha. Now, Tadanu Bandha means supplements. That means you have to read the entire 6th chapter in order to understand what is Anubandha. Anubandha is addendum. For example, Hari Vamsam is called the addendum for Mahabharata. And Tadanubandhaha, Tatu meaning its, namely 6th chapter. Anubandhaha meaning continuity, additions. So, Prasangat, so out of the context, because of the particular context, Anye Pratipadyante. So, Anye Anubandhaha Pratipadyante. You have to take the word Anye to Anubandhaha. So, other addenda have been explained, Pratipadyante, have been presented. Pratipadyante iti. Every time when the word last indeclinable called iti, meaning thus, is preceded by a word, a verb like pratipadyante or previously prapanchate. Now it's a passive voice singular verb. Ekavachanam, Karmani Vachyam, it's a passive voice verb in singular in 3rd person, Prathama Purusha. It's very easy to do it in Sanskrit. Passive voice sentences are very easy. Active voice sentence, you have to search for the different verbs, whereas passive voice has got a single verb in many sentences, single form of the verb. I can give you examples later. Then etena. So now what does the 6th chapter say? There are some additional ideas in the 6th chapter, which by their context, by their relevance, you can say, by their relevance, they are presented here in the 6th chapter. Then etena, by this means because of this, Adhyayantareshu. Now we come to the other chapters like 7 to 18. All the other 12. So, etena adhyayantareshu meaning in other chapters. Adhyayantareshu. Api, so even in the other chapters, anekanubandhaha, there are so many additions. Here in the from the 5th chapter to the 6th chapter, there are 5 meanings given. Those 5 meanings are additional ideas, and therefore generally you can see even when the 6th chapter has got 5 ideas, then what will be the number of ideas in from the 7th chapter to the 18th chapter? So aneka anubandha, so many additions are found, and each one has got a unique meaning, significant meaning. Ekaikartha, individually they have significant meaning. Then Pradhana Tamaha iti Suchita. Whatever additional ideas we get from the other chapters, namely 7 to 18, are the most important individually. Individually, they are the most important. That means we need not take them collectively and have a summary of those ideas, but individually looking at each idea, we'll have lot of ideas coming out of. Now today, with regard to prapatti, we had some thoughts. The gods surrendered to Sriman Narayana in order to incarnate as Rama in Ramayana. And Bharata surrendered to Rama to bring him back to the kingdom, because Bharata did not want to take up the kingdom. He has a support of the rule in the Raghuvamsham, in the solar race. What never happened was the second son or the next, except the first son, some other son taking up the kingdom. So only first son will take up the kingdom. That was the rule accepted by the royal families and also the called dharma, Rajya dharma. And if that is transgressed, then we have Bharata being called a Sanskrit word, pariveta. Pariveta. Today it means there are two brothers in a family, and the first brother is a bachelor, and the second brother gets married first. Then the second brother is called pariveta. Parivetta. So pariveta. Pariveta, one who has overtaken the elderly person. So Bharata didn't want to become pariveta. He didn't want to incur the sin of becoming a pariveta, and therefore he surrendered to Rama. He begged Rama to come back to the kingdom. It is surprising that Kaikeyi also did it. Kaikeyi was wholly responsible for driving him away to the forest, but she invited him back. Particularly, she invited him back, not even Kausalya and Sumitra. And therefore, that is now Bharata has surrendered to Rama. In spite of his surrender was fruitless. It did not give the expected results. Rama did not come back. Of course, he did come back after 14 years, after fulfilling the vow of Dasharatha. Dasharatha promised Kaikeyi 2 boons. Kaikeyi postponed it to some other occasion, and he could not refuse. Therefore, never Dasharatha said by his own mouth the 2 boons. He was so hesitant, but he could keep his mouth shut because he cannot transgress the promise. He cannot flout the promise given to, because that is also one of the qualities of the race, solar race. Ishwak Vamsa we call it otherwise. Now what I say here is the very important is given to Bharata's surrender, which did not yield desired results. That is number one. So there are so many aspects of prapatti. So another prapatti is Rama did prapatti to Samudra Raja, the king of the ocean. So this is another prapatti. We got a lot of prapattis in Ramayana, but we are now discussing only 2. Now, why we only 2 is Bharata's surrender was unsuccessful. Again, so in the place of Rama coming back to the kingdom, Rama offered the sandals. Of course, all of you might know that new sandals were brought by Bharata, and he wanted Rama to step on them, and then he took them away. And again, when elders like Vasishtha, the Brihaspati, the priest of the family, advised Bharata to rule the kingdom, because they wanted only a human being to rule the kingdom. They didn't want the Paduka to rule the kingdom, the divine sandals to rule the kingdom. He refused. Now the argument of some sages like Bharadwaja, who gave what you call hospitality to Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana, he argues like what you call atheist. He is like a Charuvaka. He is like a philosophy. I mean, he is like a philosopher of a non-believer of God. So he argued with Rama that he said, "Your father passed away. Therefore, nobody will know that the boon was given, and you can go back." That is the advice given by Bharadwaja. And in spite of it, Rama did not budge. Again, when Bharata surrendered to Rama to come back to the kingdom, there came all the gods in the sky to prevent Rama from acceding to the request of Bharata. So we understand Prapatti has got some obstacles also. And the purpose of the incarnation will not be fulfilled once Rama goes back to the kingdom on the request of Bharata. Bharata was, according to his personality, he is sincere. Then what he did was, at the end of the 14th year, he wanted to sacrifice himself if Rama does not return on time. So that was now Rama sent a message through Hanuman. So please do not kill yourself. Prayopavesha, that's called Prayopavesha. Prayopavesha is sitting tight without food and facing the death. And that is what Rama did in Tirupulladi, Divya Kshetra, in the shore of ocean called the Setu. Setu means generally bridge. So in the what you call the Tirupullani is the name of the place where Adi Jagannatha is the name of the deity. There Rama of course Rama was the deity. Rama reclined in his bed for 3 days without food. So he did Prayopavesha. Now what I say is these are all certain processes, what we call processes of yoga, abhas. Each one is doing some yoga. Each one is doing yoga abhasa. Yoga abhasa videhe. How to do prapatti, what to do in prapatti, when to do prapatti, where to do prapatti, and what do we expect from prapatti. So all these are certain ideas. Now coming to the last sentence in the commentary. So the most important aspect is all the additional ideas that we procure from all these 18 chapters, of course, taken for granted, at least from 7th to 18th, All the additional ideas must be accepted. They are acceptable. Now let us go to the 20th verse of the 5th chapter, namely Sparshan Kritva Bahir. Sparshan Kritva. Can Madam read? Of course, I'll read it first. So Sparshan, because English words may not be immediately translated it in Sanskrit. So Sparshan Kritva Bahir Bhakyams Chakshush Chaivantare Bruvoho Pranapano Samau Kritva Nasabhyantara Charinau.
Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils.
This is not 20, this is 27. I think it is 2020. Oh, I think in the commentary I didn't notice correctly. Is it 27 in the commentary? I think the number, can you show the commentary?
Yes, it says 27.
Oh, 27, sorry. I read it as 20. It's only my mistake. Naneda Naida. So coming to the, so 27, Sparshan, because the words are clear. So Sparshan Kritva, Bahir Bhakyams, Chakshush, Chaivantare Bruvoho. So, shutting out all external sense objects. Now, Bahihi meaning out. Bahihi meaning out. First line, Bahihi means out. So Bahi Kritva is shutting out, making them go away. That is coming out. Bhakyams. Bhakyam is external. Bhakyams is external. Of course, next Sandhi becomes yes. So Bhakyam. Bhakyam will be Bhakyan. Bahyan. So Bhakyan. So that will go with Sparshan. So external sense object. Now it's only mentioned, only one word is mentioned here. You know the sense organ. The sense organ is Twak, the skin. The body skin is called Sparsha. You know the meaning touch. Sparsha is touch. So starting with the touch, namely Sparshan, we refer to all the sense objects meant for the sense organ. The objects of sense organs are meant for touching, smelling, seeing, hearing, eyes to see the object, ears to listen to the object, nose to smell the object, the skin to touch the object. One more, the five sense organs.
Taste.
Yeah. One with
Taste.
pardon?
Tongue to
Taste.
taste. Tongue to taste.
It's not talking will be a motor organ. Tongue, okay. Tongue is taste, okay, right. So
Rasa.
taste.
Jihva rasa.
Ruchi, yeah. Yeah, we call it in Sanskrit. There are two words for tongue: rasana and jihva. Jihva is tongue. Rasana is tongue. Because it knows the taste. Rasam janati iti rasana. Here, so sparshan bhashyam. There will be objects outside. That means the worldly objects. So in this world. So keeping the eyes and vision concentrated. Now chakshush. Chakshush is eye. Then chaiva, chakshush chaiva, starting with the eyes. Then bruvoho antare. Cha eva antare bruvoho. Bruvoho is two eyebrows. Between the two eyebrows is called bruvoho. Antare meaning in between. Bruvoho itself means in between. Bruvoho antare, in the middle of these two eyebrows. In our what we call the memory spot in our forehead. That memory spot in our forehead is called the middle portion of the two eyebrows. So pranapano, prana apana. Prana is inhaling air. Apana is the bad smelling air. Yes, vayu. So pranapano, prana apana, meaning not only two airs, but also all the five. Prana, Vyana, Samana, Udana, and Apana. So all the 5 airs which has got balance in the body. So Pranapana, Pano, Samau Kritva. So all that means Pranapano is only a indication of the all the 5 airs. Because in a what we call in a shloka of 8 syllables per quarter, we cannot include all the 5 airs, nor all the 5 sense organs, not all the 5 sense objects also. So that's why Sparshan given as Sparshan. So starting with the touch. Then Pranapano, 2 are mentioned here. The other 3 airs are also included. Again, all Samau Kritva. So that is what we call equal balance. Equal balance. That is not suspending the inward and outward birth. This is not what we call meditation of a sage to control the breaths. No. The pranapanu samakrita will be controlling. It's not actually suspending. So controlling the air. Again, control. The previous sentence is control of the sense organ. Now control of the air. What is called stamba in Sanskrit. Stamba. Stamba generally all of you may know pillar. Stambaha is pillar. So it stands firm like a pillar. What is Stambaha is making the air still. All the air still. 5 airs. Starting with prana, with ending with apana. Only 2 airs are mentioned. So samau krutva. So it will be in equilibrium. Making it in equilibrium. Maybe quantity and quality are one and the same among the 5 airs. Then nasabhyantara charinav. So this pranapanav, namely, stamina. Yes, stopping. Samba is stopping, right? So pranapano nasabhyantara charinav. The control of the inhaling air, you can also say exhaling air, along with the breath, because of the breath control, all our airs are controlled. Vyana, Udana, Samana also. When we do pranayama, please note that the ladies have no necessity to do pranayama, though today all men, all women take up the yoga abhyasa. They are biologically created with a facility that they don't need pranayama, whereas we need pranayama. For all our healthy habits, we need pranayama. They don't need pranayama. But if they do it, maybe there will be some trouble also. Again, as you know, a practitioner of asanas should not stop ever in the practice of the asana. If somebody stops the asana, then complications will occur. So he must be regular, and it's regular continuously also. So nasa abhyantara, nasa is nose. So nasa abhyantara is within the nose, inside the nose, inside the nostrils. Nasa abhyantara charinav. They will be moving. the air, the oxygen, we say oxygen. Pranavayu is called oxygen. Exhaling or inhaling air. Inhaling has got pranavayu. Exhaling air has got carbon dioxide. And therefore, we are talking about the energy giving air, refreshing air, and prana. Now, all these air, you can take all these air, should be controlled within the nostrils. That is it's not a suspending. You can take the word suspending, that means stopping the usage of these airs to circulate in the body. The lungs will not have pranavayu, the oxygen or the inhaling air. There will be equal pressure of atmosphere, outside atmosphere, and the lungs and heart. And then, lungs have got blood pressure because of the air. And Jnana is the pervading air. Udana is the air in the stomach. And Apana is the air that comes out. So here all the airs must be in equilibrium. So Samav Krutva. So Nasabhyantare, meaning Nasabhyantara Charino, they will be only moving within the nostril. They will not be coming out. Therefore, this is the type of meditation, method of meditation, concentration of. So here, I today read what we call Pancharatra Agama, and that Pancharatra Agama has got a division called Parameshwara Samhita, and Parameshwara Samhita is a special book to be followed in Srirangam Ranganatha temple for puja, for Aradhana. And Keshav Swami knows the scholar Raman Bhattar, Terandu Raman Bhattar, who has published the books and distributed them free to all the Archakas of Tamil Nadu, especially, even others, because he has completely printed in 3 or more languages: Kannada, Telugu, Sanskrit. In all the, of course, Sanskrit is a language, and all other scripts are there. Devanagari, Telugu, Kannada. He has been very helpful and doing yeoman service to the temple priests. And in the Parameshwara Samhita today, when I gave the meaning to my students, I understood a very important point. What is called yoga abhasa or yoga abhyasa, I can also say. Yoga is again, our yoga is doing puja, doing Tiruvaradhanam to the Lord. And in that yoga, my limbs are used. I'm using my hands, especially fingers, and I'm using my eyes, vision. The sense organs are used. Motor organs are used. Sense organs are used. Then I utter the mantra like Purusha Suktam. Whenever I anoint the God at home, Thirumanjanam, I perform Thirumanjanam to the God by saying all the Divya Prabandha Pasurams like Vennai Alainda Kudungum of Periyalvar, Vishnu Chitta, and then all the Pancha Suktas, then Taittiriya Upanishad for the anointment, and all these things. Now, what is very important is not this, what you call Karana Kainkaryam. Karana Kainkaryam is by your limbs you do some puja. And you are uttering the mantras. But more important is the 11th sense organ, namely Manas, the mind, which will concentrate on the actions involved. It cannot go astray. It cannot go Bahir Bhakyan, Parshan. You like to look at that one? Parshan Bahir Bhakyan. I think it's the first sentence here in the 11th verse, I think. Okay, Kritva. So Sparshan Bahir Bhakyan Kritva. Bhakyan, Sparshan Bahir Kritva. We keep them away. Keep them away, our sense object, and remember only the Lord. I told the boy is from son of Narasimha Bhattar in the temple. He is doing worship there. So he has got the right to worship. Whereas he has not studied a single line in the whole book. He knows the practical method, but he has to know the theory also. In the theory, we understand that more importance is given to the thought orientation towards the Lord. So that is what we call Parshan Bahir Bhakyan Kritva. Then Pranapanu Nasabhyantara Charino. Now, Charino is given as blowing, not blowing, moving, not blowing. You can't blow, so it's moving. Charino is moving. Sparshan, generally they are called sense object, but starting with the touch, smell, hearing, seeing, and tasting, these are all what you call secondarily mean sense objects. First means the actions of those sense objects, and secondarily they mean the sense object. Then Kritva, keeping Bahi, external, Bhakyan, unnecessary. Bhakyan doesn't mean unnecessary. Bhakyan meaning external. Bahihi is making them unnecessary. Bhakyan is external. Bhakyan is external. Bahikritva is shutting out. Bahikritva is shutting out. Bhakyan means external. Chakshurai, cha, of course, also. Eva, certainly. Eva can mean only. Antare, in between, between. Bruvoho, the eyebrows. Pranapanu, up and down moving air. Samo in suspension. Samo means in equilibrium. And so on. Other words are right. So now each word is given meaning, fortunately, so that you will have no confusion about the, what we call translation.
Swami, I think the next verse also, I think it doesn't make a complete sentence unless we look at the next verse.
Okay. But unfortunately, it's given as synonyms. Why synonyms?
The synonyms came. I put the synonyms there so people can see what the words may mean. That is from the
word meaning.
Word for word meanings is coming from the ISKCON books.
Oh yeah. Generally, ISKCON books are the best, good. They don't have any wrong meaning. But it's not synonyms, word by word meaning. Synonyms will be, I think, as you know, the same meaning of the word.
Correct. So did you want to look at 28 also? Because usually these are grouped together.
No. Again, the first word, Yatendriya, okay. Yatendriya Manobuddhir, Munir Moksha Parayanaha, Vigate Cha Bhayakrodho, Yaha Sada Mukta Eva Saha. So we are talking about the realized soul. I think again, Parshan is okay. So, now as I told you just now, not only the sense objects must be externalized, we should be out of those sense objects. Manaha, buddhi also should be added. Mano, buddhi, first line. So, yatendriya, not only sense organs must be controlled, yata meaning control. It is from the root called yama, yam. Yam means to control. Yama, niyama, in yoga, Patanjali Yoga Shastra comes. Yama is control. So Yatendriya, Indriya, the sense organs are controlled. Then Manas is controlled. Mano, Buddhi is controlled. The intellect. The mind and the intellect along with the sense organs are controlled. Then Munihi, a sage, meaning a yogi, Moksha Parayanaha. He is always thinking of getting emancipation. Moksha Parayanaha. Parayanaha meaning engaged, busy in achieving moksha. Then Vigata Icha, Vigata Icha. Not only Vigata Icha, Vigata Bhaya and Vigata Krodha. Now he will be, the Muni, the sage will be bereft of, he will be without three. Number one, desire, Icha. That means the worldly desire, Bhayam, fear, and Krodha, fury. So that will be out of his purview. He will have no desire, no fear, and no fury. So we get a chart. And Yaha, who, Sada, always, forever, Mukta Eva Saha. He becomes a realist. Mukta Eva. You can say Eva certainly. Saha, he, Muktaha, released soul. He will be a released soul. Once he doesn't have desire, fear, and fury. And I think very easy to understand. And combining these two, namely Sparshan, Kritva, Bahirbahyan, and Chakshus, then upon, yeah, one is always in this state is certainly within. Thanks to Yashwar Swami for combining 28 also, so that the yoga semblance, yoga abhasan, has become real in 28. Though initially, as we discussed earlier, last session, we said that we are not perfect in anything. We tend to do something. We tend to believe. We tend to do what we call show bhakti, show devotion. When we surrender also, we don't have full faith. All the 5 angas of the surrender, we are not completely in tune with those 5 limbs of surrender. We never think that we are helpless. We think that we do help ourselves. We help ourselves. We don't feel helpless. We think that we can do anything. And so on. Every step we are little lagging behind. Pratikulya Varjanam, we are not following strictly the don'ts. Then Anukulya Sankalpaha, though we decide to do things good, but we fail to do things good. No, I'm not discouraging ourselves by giving the negative point, but we are imperfect. Therefore, we cannot be 100% perfect. We cannot be equal to a Muni sage who is a Muktaha here. Because he has given up fury, he has given up fear, he has given up desire. And we cannot also, we are not also following strictly Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu gadadana. We do something, we must never expect any fruit. But we are not doing it. Practically, we are not doing anything. We expect something from, now even here, I would say, I expect some people to look at these videos, hear those words, and try to go deep into the subject. That's what I expected, my expectation. But that is not to be, not to be. So now coming to, your views. Coming to your views.
So has anybody got any questions or comments?
Yeah. Mama, we heard that we have to follow this from this chapter onwards. Everything is be followed very strictly. And how do we do as women? How do we do this in the form of meditation? Do we need to get a guidance, or can we do it on our own? We can't do pranayama, as you said. So I just want to know whether how to do this correctly. This way, the way it's Krishna taught us, Lord Krishna taught us.
The only difficulty is you know the process, but the concentration is very important. That is concentration meaning avoiding distraction.
Okay.
that is very difficult. For the concentration, this particular verse number 10 gives you nasabhyantara charinaha charinau nasabhyantara charinau. Your inhaling air should stop with the nostrils. Do not go deep into the lungs.
Okay. Okay.
You are not doing for pranayama. You are not controlling the breath. You are
Okay.
not controlling the breath. But that is what we call concentration. And again, Keshavdas Swami also will tell us that our vision from the two eyes should reach the tip of our nose. That is yoga. That is meditation. How long will you be able to look at the tip of your nose?
Okay.
Will you not drift away? Will not your vision drift away? I mean, you may say this way: I get headache by looking at the tip of the nose for a long time.
Correct.
It's very difficult to practice. Vishwamitra did for 1,000 years. He stood on one leg. He did not take food. He did not breathe. So all these cannot be combined in our daily life. Very difficult. But as we know, we close our eyes so that we shut out the external object. We don't want to see. The vision is curtailed. We don't want to see anything because we want to engage in meditation. So first step is close your eyes. Then again the manasa is working, the mind is working. The mind is thinking of something else other than God. It's busy with some other activity.
Yeah.
So the control must be the mind should be turned inward. Meaning, you must remember the inner soul in your heart.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to advise you.
No, it's very important. Even it's Chalungo, please. Very nice.
Because we have to understand the process.
Correct.
How to use the sense organ. How to use the sense organ.
Correct.
You have to sit in a strict pose. You cannot move your limbs as you like. Number one. If you have pain of moving the legs, legs or hands in a particular stature kept for a long time, then you will be uncomfortable. So you must be comfortable in your seat when you have. Then again, for example, practically speaking, you must have had the answers to nature's call, and you cannot have for say 1 hour no what you call bowel movement, no answering of nature's call. So this is again what we call controlling the yes, apana especially. Therefore, again, you should not have eaten a lot. It is also there. It's what you call mild quantity of eating, less quantity of eating. Many people recommend today, doctors recommend, because sometimes people say when the stomach is full, we can concentrate. Some people say stomach is empty, we can concentrate. So that is also there. So one by one, you have to put a minus of the 10 sense organs plus one more, namely manas. Then the buddhi is also there. Your buddhi, your intellect is also working. Your brain is working against all this. Your practice. You try to control that intellect also. Buddhi also is fighting with the manas. Manas is fighting with the intellect. Manas says, we can go astray. We can go out. Buddhi says, no, control yourself. The other way about also. These two argue with each other. And Manas says what you say is not right. So the discussion between the Manas and the Buddhi. Buddhi gives you advice, gives advice to the Manas. Manas doesn't accept it. Manas thinks in some other way. So these are all. Now coming to the sense organ, you don't taste anything during meditation. Say, having a chocolate in the mouth, I'll say putting ice cream in your mouth, you cannot do meditation. So what I say is stopping the taste, smelling around you. Say for example, in the puja room, you have the what we call incense sticks. Sambirani Tamil Sambirani. So that you should not. Any smell from the kitchen should not affect your meditation. You should not be near the kitchen. You must have a puja room away from the kitchen. So one by one, you neglect your sense organ. You rather keep away your sense organ. Here, when the phone call comes, you know how people are disturbed in the whole family. You get a phone call, but all others are interested in your phone call. You understand this?
Yeah.
Who called you? I'm asking who called you. The second is what did he say? What is the problem? Then I'm asking what is the problem with the call? And you say we have a joke here. You talk for half an hour or 1 hour, and then when I question you, who called you? You say anonymous call. It's an anonymous. So that means we have no concentration. Everybody is interested in others' call. Right? We are interested in others' activities. Now again, that's why karna, the ear, must be shut. It's open because it's always open. You can shut your nostrils by controlling the breath. You can shut up your mouth without speaking. You can close your eyes not to see, but the ears are open. Ears are open on both sides. So any small sound disturbs you. Any small sound. When there is a TV blaring out in a serial, then you get a lot of disturbance. You say, you tell others, please either close the TV or reduce the volume. That means you are not concentrating on that. That is the outside sense object should not affect you.
Mm. Okay.
When you go on reducing the number of sense organs from activity, then manas and buddhi will have to be concentrated on, and then these manas and buddhi should always be directed towards something purposeful, namely God. That's all. Now I've been trying this way. I say orally loudly the stotras in the house. And also in public places. When I go to temple, Keshavdas Swami would had an experience of visiting Srirangam temple many times. Many people come there, many devotees come there. What do they do, you observe? Some are doing gossip. Especially we say In Srirangam Vambu we say. We talk about others' bad activities. And I tell my students to go and say Vishnu Sahasranamam, and it will take 2 hours to go around 52 Sannidhis in Srirangam. 52 Sannidhis in Srirangam. So you are not just rushing toward the main sanctum sanctorum and come back, remembering the chappals that you left out in the shop. So that, again, our concentration is not there. So I find that the priest is doing some mistake. I observe the priest doing some mistake. Now all these what we call aberration, our deviation from the main purpose of our visit to the temple. So again, that's what we do. So orally, I shout the stotras in the queue in the temple, not only in public place but also at home. Now I also have a feeling of what you call ahankara and mamakara, whether somebody else is listening to my stotra or shutting their ears off. Now, then secondly, the next step will be silently saying the stotra. The third step, but silently saying the stotras, but others can watch you that there are lip movements. That means you are doing something. Now I am asking you whether are you scolding me or are you saying the stotra? The third step will be where you, without your lip movement, you concentrate on stotra. Whether you read a book or whether you have memorized that particular stotra, concentrate. Now next comes is concentrate on the meaning of the stotras. If you don't know the meaning of the stotras, please understand. That's what I am doing for. I started with Kingri Stuti with meaning, but then they said we want to recite first and then get the meaning. So we have come to recitation. Now, recitation must be done in the young age. We can learn by rote, and then after the age of 40, we can try to understand. And even when we don't understand, there is all the stotras are efficacious, effective, and therefore this is what we call steps of concentration. That is my view, my personal view, my personal experience also. I tell people in the queue in the temple, please don't talk about anything else. I sometimes say mildly and sometimes say harshly, because when they disturb me saying the stotra, then that means my concentration is not there. So I see around how many of us are there, count the number, how many friends have come, how many relatives have come, whether the priest will allow me first. All this. So will he give tulasi, basil leaf? Will he give water, the holy water? Or only when I pay something? All this, what you call thoughts. And when I attend, I think if you attend, I think Keshavdas Swami, I think would have attended. The what we call the morning Vishwarupa Seva, where the Veena is played, and also the Veena is played at the late hours by 11 p.m. It's called Ekanta Seva. Ekanta Veena and other is Ekanta Seva. Meaning the lute is being played, the lyre, Lyre, is being played. And I concentrate on the raga, the meaning of the musical composition. But sometimes I find whether he is deviating from the raga lakshana, the definition of a raga, whether he has what we call apaswaram. So, the concentration is not there. Our concentration is. And therefore, while we listen to the music while sitting, beside him, beside the player. Uh, do we visualize the Lord inside? And again, when Karpura Harati is lit and Neerajanam is done by the priest, do we concentrate on the people standing before us, or the lamp light, or the Lord? These are all certain observations that I made during my worship in temple. Of course, somebody was asking today how to concentrate. Without distraction. I said, if you are alone in a place, a lonely place, and doing something, doing meditation, is sometimes easy. But the people disturbing you with all kinds of disturbances around you, if you concentrate, that will be a great task. It is not that you cannot drive out all the members of the family from the house and then say, no, I want to meditate. You shut up the door of your room and sit on meditation. Initially, you have to practice, and later on, you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Swami.
Today, children are trained by a mission like Chinmayananda in USA, where the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are learnt within 6 months with the help of the encouragement by parents. And then the parents also are involved now, and young children are able to recite in spite of the distractions. Now, specifically in an assembly, children are encouraged to recite 2 children at a time. 1 children are doing the second chapter recitation, and the other one is 4th chapter recitation. And each of them will never be forgetting what they are saying. And around them, a lot of people. I went to what we call the San Jose University, University of San Jose, San Francisco or something like
San Jose, correct. You're right.
Yeah, I attended.
It'll probably be University of California, San Jose campus.
California. So I saw the 2 children reciting the Bhagavad Gita. When then the leader of the session asked all the people to talk. You can talk. You can comment. Then we were murmuring. In spite of the murmuring being heard by the children never stopped reciting. And they did not forget the lines. They did not forget even one word. This is the concentration that they have developed in children.
Correct.
That is one example to follow. That is one of the examples to follow. I'm sorry, I think I am taking too much of your time.
No, Swami, I have a few. If anybody else has got any more comments, but I have a few comments here. Seeing as I come last in the comments. Okay, so I'm going to go through them one by one. You mentioned about Harivamsa being Anubandha,
Anubandha.
Harivamsa was written at the same time?
We have no idea because the history is absent in Sanskrit.
So can we say that Harivamsa is written by Vedavyasa or not?
Anubandha is?
Harivamsa, is it authored by Vedavyasa?
Yeah, it is.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So it's accepted as part of the Mahabharata by everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
One more, along with Harivamsa, one more supplement is there in Mahabharata.
Which is? Okay. You were mentioning about how the eldest son, amongst Kshatriyas, the eldest son is going to become the king.
Yeah.
The royal prince. There are many princes, but the the eldest son becomes the king. So that's a system amongst Kshatriyas. But my question is, there's a system also amongst Brahmins that the eldest son becomes, like with the Simhasanadipatis or the traditional acharyas in Sri Vaishnavism, the eldest son normally becomes the acharya. Is it not?
The eldest of the family.
The eldest person in the family.
Yeah.
But okay, if an acharya has two sons, and if they make separate families, both sons can give Samashrinam later on or not?
Yeah, both can give.
Okay, so any son of an acharya, he can also be an acharya in the system. Okay, so not necessarily. But normally the eldest son has the first right. If there's a joint family situation,
right,
the eldest son will become the next acharya.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were mentioning that there are many properties in many different properties in Ramayana, Srimad Ramayana. I didn't quite follow your explanation about there's Sri Ramayana, Srimad Ramayana, Ramayana, and I think in Tamil also people normally say Ramayana.
yeah.
So, and what will be the difference between, you said Sri Vaishnavas usually say Srimad Ramayana.
Meaning, the names of Ramayana given by Valmiki. Number one is Ramayana. Ramayana is the name of that all of us know. The second one is Ravana Vadham. Ravana Vadham is the name of the Ramayana. It's not actually Ravana Vadham, otherwise called Paulasya Vadham. Paulasya is Ramayana, Ravana. So Pulasya Maharishi's son. So Paulasya Vadham. Then third one is Sitayaha Charitam Mahat. The great story of Sita, or the story of great Sita. Now this is what we say in Srimad Ramayana. Srimad Ramayanam is famous popular because of Mahalakshmi. Unless she has been abducted by Ravana, there is no story. Parashara Bhattar, in his Gunaratana Kosha book, says, because of you, the Ramayana is alive. So Srimad Ramayana, Srimad meaning that we add importance to Mahalakshmi than only to Rama. Our concentration is on the couple. And again, Sri Ramayana, we say auspicious Ramayana, and we explain all the auspicious incidents in Ramayana. But Ramayana is less significant because Ramayanam, we mechanically reproduce the story. That is Ramayana. Without any reference to principles, without any reference, we see it as a story. But whereas Sri Ramayana will have some deep meaning, but Srimad Ramayana we equalize it with scriptures. The more respect is given to Ramayana, not to the incident, but to the principles behind.
Right.
In fact, Srimad Ramayana is called Sharanagati Shastra. It's a doctrine of total surrender. It is not Ramayana. I mean, 10 heads of Ravana is only a fun for children as Ramayana. Sri Ramayana will give 10 heads are the 10 sense organs in the body. Sita is the individual soul, Rama is the supreme soul, Acharya is Hanuman. The next step will be all the philosophical principles will be explained. How Rama was not an ordinary man, though he was incarnated as a human being. And then what did he do as a man and what did he do as a God? So there are some comparisons given, and what is the important role of Mahalakshmi? That is Srimad Ramayana.
Okay, good.
So,
So
whenever, if you say Ramayana, that means you are not a Vaishnava.
I see. So you have to say always Srimad Ramayana.
Yes,
I understand. Very clear. Okay, so but in Ramayana, it's a property shastra, it's a Sharanagati shastra, but not all of the properties are successful. Like Bharata's property was not successful,
Yeah.
and Rama made property to Samudra Raja, to the king of the ocean.
Yeah.
But was that successful or not successful? Because he built the bridge.
It was partially successful.
I see.
Because after the Prapatti, Samudra Raja did not turn up. The king of ocean did not turn up. And therefore, we had to threaten him.
Right.
Punishment based. I mean, threat based.
Okay. So, all right. So anyway, enough about that. You were mentioning it about the 5 life heirs, but sometimes we also hear there are 10 life heirs. Prikara, Dhananjaya. There are some other ones. These are minor life heirs.
Oh, I've not heard.
Okay, so we'll talk about that some other time. All right. The last thing so the whole discussion today was about meditation.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that if you can concentrate in a place, in the family or around you, or different people are around you making noise, it's very good. Your concentration is very good. But specifically, Krishna, we discussed in the previous classes that he says you should go to a secluded place, isn't it?
Yeah. Because we are not able to do that.
Right.
We are not able to concentrate with the distraction.
So I see that Sri Vaishnavas, so it sounds very much to me like Buddhist meditation. The Buddhists, they go to a very secluded place and they do like the Zen Buddhism. They sit and they do the meditation, and they look at the nose and they do all these things. But Sri Vaishnavas don't seem to be doing any of this. So it's there in Shastra. Why don't people do more of this type of meditation?
Generally, we are also supposed to follow. Anybody is supposed to follow Patanjali's Yoga Shastra. Then only it should be done.
So,
but we don't know the process.
Right, but so should we be doing, when we do Astakshara Japa, when we should do Gayatri Japa or Astakshara Japa or Dwaya Japa, we should be doing it like this? We should be sitting and concentrating on the tip of the nose and mentally repeating?
Yeah, definitely. Gayatri Japa and Astakshara Japa.
But mostly I know people are doing Astakshara Japa, but people are doing Dwaya Japa also? They're doing other japas? Other meditations?
You mean Astakshara Japa is done of Shishyas of Ahobiramat during before Upasthana mantra, just before getting up.
Yes.
According to the number of Gayatri Japa, we also equally do the Astakshara, Dvaya, and Shri mantra.
Shri?
Shri.
Panchakshara for Sri Devi.
Yeah.
Shrim Shriye Namaha. But
and
are you getting mantra upadesh of that mantra?
Yeah. We get it from the preceptor during Samachayana.
Oh. But in Chanacharya Sampradaya, I don't know if people are getting.
Oh, that's why they avoid the role of Mahalakshmi.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
As you said, Mama, yes. When I got Bharanyasam done, my Acharya, it is Rangapriya Swamigal, he said, just keep repeating Sriman Narayana Charnau Sharanam Prapadya Srimati. Just always saying that mantra. So he didn't advise me for some reason, Om Namo Narayana, but he wanted me to say only Sriman Narayana Charnau Sharanam Prapadya Srimati Narayana Nama. That's which I try to do.
Yeah. Again, please remember there is a difference between the meditation of Ashtakshara with the Dvayam. Ashtakshara must have some discipline like taking bath. After taking bath, you must do. Whereas Dvayam can be uttered in any place or any pure place at any time, even while you go to sleep.
Yes, Dr. Alwa was explaining this to us that we should do all the mantra nyasa and everything and the dhyana before doing Astakshara japa. But Dwaya we can chant at any time. What about this Panchakshara, this Sri Devi's Panchakshara?
Yeah,
Can it be done?
That also can be recited and meditated at any time.
Anytime. Okay, good.
Ashtakshara, as Keshadas Swami said, any mantra will have nyasa. Nyasa in the sense you must mention the name of the gods, name of the sages, and name of the prosody, the rhyme pattern, vrittam, that is called meter. So you mention the name of the meter, but we are not very strict in following this. If we have the knowledge and if we want to know, then we can easily understand and say that. It's very easy.
Yes.
So doing Gayatri Japa, definitely we are doing Nyasa.
Right. So it's mentioned in Chandogya Upanishad.
Also, additionally, we say Viniyogaha. We keep our palm together and say Viniyogaha.
Right. The purpose of the mantra. So in Chandogya Upanishad, it mentions that you should know all these things. The Rishi, the meter, the Devata, the Viniyogaha has to be known. And in fact, this big book, Brihad Devata, which is there giving all of these aspects for each Veda mantra. So my other question was that so you were saying you have to eat very mildly. You can't eat a lot, but also you have to eat not very spicy food also, because it disturbs you. So the people who are doing this meditation, the type of meditation, they're usually eating very equally balanced food. That's why the Ayurvedic people nowadays they're all asking people to eat khichdi. They're all asking people to eat this or pongal, something which is very balanced type of food, not eating very spicy.
One good example is our friend, a common friend is Dario from Italy. He's always keeping good health because he eats less, and he also has his own preferences of sattvic food.
Right. So I think Charvaka is saying 3 causes of disease: overeating, anxiety, and uncleanliness. So yeah, overeating. Okay, so you were also mentioning that in order not to be disturbed, you should have the puja room far away from the kitchen. But my experience is the puja room is in the kitchen. everybody has got this coil alwa. They have a cupboard and they have salagramas in the box or the cupboard. It's very close to the kitchen because they have to take the food and take it to offer the food, and they don't want to walk through the house in front of many people or animals or something with the food. They have to keep the food covered before offering to God, and then not show to anybody.
I saw in certain houses, kitchens have God's photos. Kitchens
Yes.
have God's photos. And again, if the items of preparation are many, then you take the salagramam box to the kitchen and then offer. You don't bring all the items of food to the puja room. But you take the bell, ghanta, the salagrama box to the kitchen table, and then offer the food. But generally the food items should be, the puja room cannot be mingled with the kitchen. It's not a twin room.
No, but I've seen many Sri Vaishnava houses. There'll be a cupboard in the kitchen, and you open it, and there'll be a coil alwa there.
Normally that is not available.
Okay, so now you were also saying about when you do the Tiruvaradharam, you offer the incense and the sambrani, and you will smell the incense, and then you won't smell other smells, bad smells.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to stop the some people also, when they meditate, they light some incense or something, and they sit in a room and they light some incense for some reason before they meditate. But the point in this sloka says we are trying to restrain the senses. So should we not also restrain the senses from incense smoke, from samrani smoke?
That's what I think.
So
A bad smell from the septic tank nearby, and the good smell from the incense sticks.
Okay, but in my puja room here in Hawaii, there's no bad smell coming from anywhere. In fact, if I open the windows in my puja room, I'll get good smells from the flowers outside. So
Madam wants to leave. Okay, madam. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We'll meet tomorrow.
Yeah. So my point is, the sloka, the verse itself says to restrain the senses from any smell, good or bad. Good or bad.
Huh?
Good or bad. Sambrani is a good smell.
Yeah.
Septic tank is a bad smell. But the verse, Krishna is saying, shut the senses to all smell, to all externals, good or bad.
Treating them alike.
Right. So even if we are trying to do Astakshara Japa, and the loudspeaker from the temple is also doing Astakshara Japa, but we should try to hear our Astakshara Japa, not that Astakshara Japa.
Yeah. That's why shut out our organs from all other objects.
कवितार्किक सिंहाय कल्याण गुणशालिने श्रीमते वेंकटेशाय वेदांत गुरवे नमः।